Fox 5 and Hot 97 present Street Soldiers with Lisa Evers.
I'm so glad you're joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers on the stress of success. I'm your host, Lisa Evers. Sometimes you can reach a long-held dream or goal. Then after the excitement wears off, you're more stressed than before, and the pressure keeps mounting. So how do you know when it's gone too far? Olympic multi-gold medalist Simone Biles stunned fans when she withdrew from the Tokyo Olympics to focus on her mental health. The champion gymnast took online criticism and later praise for raising mental health awareness after returning to the Paris Olympics 3 years later to win more Olympic gold medals. Dr. Yalda Safai says her example can help many others.
Successful people, famous people have a tremendous responsibility because there's, especially young folks, look up to them. So when they see that their idol or whatnot is taking time off because they're not doing well mentally or physically and need time to recuperate, that makes it okay for other people to follow suit.
Actors face stiff competition and rejection before they can achieve a resume like Jermel Howard's. He's appeared in The First Purge, Marvel's Luke Cage, and many others. He says he does his best and then releases the mental pressure.
But all we can do is sharpen ourselves and be the better version of ourselves, and then project that and put that out there. And if you're aligned with what you're supposed to have. So I just let go of the things I can't control, and it's like a heavy weight off me.
Dansha Hopkins has been acting her entire life. She gained many fans with her portrayal of Raina St. Patrick in the hit series Power on Starz. A recent college graduate who now has her sights set on medical school, Hopkins says setting realistic goals is important to preventing stress later on.
Is it attainable? Can you get to this goal? Can you actually achieve this goal? Is it really a smart goal? So that's something that I have set for myself, and I use that in my everyday life to achieve everything that I want to achieve.
High achievers are driven to succeed and often have to top their last accomplishment. The pressure at times can become too much. AllHipHop.com CEO Chuck Creekmur has helped to raise mental health awareness, especially for Black men.
No matter how you deal with it, you can reach that breaking point, and that breaking point is where we don't want to really go. Obviously, we do break and we do fail and we do fall apart, but getting back together is really the most important thing, and learning from our mistakes.
Let's get into this now with our panel. Joining us is Dr. Yalda Safai. She is a psychiatrist as well as a public health expert. Dr. Safai, great to have you back with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Also with us is Chuck Creekmur. He's the co-founder and CEO of AllHipHop.com. He's been outspoken and an advocate for taking a look at mental health, particularly in the Black community, especially for men. Chuck, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. Also joining us is Dansha Hopkins. She's an actress and entrepreneur. You've seen her in Power. She played Raina, Tariq's twin sister. She just recently got her Bachelor of Arts degree in history and I think one or two other things. And she is going to medical school. So Dansha, first of all, congratulations and thank you for joining us again.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm just glad to be back.
Yeah, glad to have you back. Also with us is Jermel Howard. He's an actor. He was in The First Purge. You can see him in Family Business, in the series Family Business New Orleans, on BET, Marvel's Luke Cage, and a bunch of other places. Jermel, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
We really appreciate it. Great to have you back as well. Dr. Safai, I want to start with you on this. Do we have an accurate understanding of what mental health is really all about?
Oh, right now, no, I think we still have a lot to learn. The brain is a very complicated thing, and I think we've only touched on a portion of the disorders that can come from things not functioning normally. So I think we have a lot more to learn, but because mental illness is being stigmatized, I feel like now we're going the right direction and doing more research on this.
Chuck, you've covered a lot of celebrities, in terms for allhiphop.com. Why did you decide to also be outspoken and be an advocate for people really taking a look at their mental health?
Well, I've been an advocate for a long time because of the things that I've dealt with very quietly and very privately. And it's allowed me to look at people a lot more empathetically than someone that has no issues. In hip hop, obviously, I think hip hop is very honest in that a lot of people are dealing with a lot of different things, more so than maybe R&B or other music and art forms. And so I think that we're a lot closer to the problem than one might expect. You know, one of my favorite artists, DMX, is probably one of the roughest artists that you can imagine, but very quietly, not so quietly, but underneath the surface, you can tell he's dealing with a lot of trauma, a lot of issues and other things that may be masked behind that rough exterior or perhaps hidden behind alcohol and other things. Um, and so we deal with this on a consistent basis. And, you know, again, I've dealt with it for years, sort of, you know, and it's all in the mix. It's in the poetry, it's in the glam and the glitz, it's in the lifestyle. But a lot of times we're seeing that we're just covering things up.
No, exactly. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to do the show and talk about it. Don Shay, as an actress, and again, you know, to be able to finish school and pursue what you're pursuing, I think is so impressive and so inspiring to people, to especially the girls. But when you first got your first, you know, first fame from Power, or whichever was the first role where people would recognize you on the street, did that come with other things that you weren't expecting?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely comes with a lot of things. It comes with a lot of, there are always eyes watching you, which is something that I was conditioned to learn from a young age when I first started acting. But when you kind of reach like a global success in the way that Power has achieved, because they're still going with a million and one spinoffs. But when you kind of reach that, there is something that you do notice when you achieve fame, especially in regards to mental health. It's that you can't have a bad day. Like, of course, everyone has bad days. It's human nature. You can have a bad day, but you can't have a bad day in a way that a non-famous person would. You can't kind of wear it on your face because you're interacting with people, you're meeting fans, you're meeting casting directors, you're meeting studio execs that might want you for another role. So you can't really show that on your face all the time. You could have a relative that just passed away, and that has happened to me on some occasions, but it's like you can't show that. Even though you might want to go home and just like crawl under your blanket and cry, you still have to put on this brave face for all these people that look up to you and fans and people that want to meet you, because they might not get that first impression again, and you also want to make a good first impression for them too.
It's almost like your feelings in your life belong to everyone, all the fans and everyone
Right.
that's out there, right? Jamil,
Yeah.
tell us about your experience. Have you had those times where you're like, oh my God, the pressure is too much, or you have to remember the lines, or you have to be out there, you know, on the 99th take of something because something else or somebody else screwed up? What about that?
Oh yeah, that happens a lot. That happens a lot. I remember one time when I was shooting the movie The First Purge, they changed the script like on like this, like literally right before we shot the scene, and the director Gerard, he kind of challenged me, which you take those things into, you know, your in the core as a challenge, and you challenge yourself. But he said, listen, this is going to be the new script, and we're going to rehearse it. And I couldn't get it while we was in the rehearsal. I couldn't really like nail it, and I'm like, well, but this is just rehearsal. But he's like, listen, Universal is looking, the producers are looking, everybody get it right. And I said, I'll be right. I'll be ready when it's time to shoot. And when we started shooting, it was lights, camera, action, and I nailed it. But it was a lot of pressure. But I do believe that pressure is necessary. And if you look at anything that's ever changed and got better, it all took pressure. Everybody, when it comes to building muscle, it takes pressure. It takes you to break muscle down to build up. And when it making diamonds, it takes pressure. Anything that you're looking at that's valuable is all going to take some type of pressure. And I think that's when we can actually become our best versions.
We'll be right back after this.
When I was younger, I would just go, and then you just realize it's not sustainable, it's not healthy, and I can't keep going through this cycle.
Dr. Safai, we're talking about pressure, and pressure, you know, there's some people that thrive under pressure and deadlines. I happen to be one of them, I think, but there's also times when the pressure can feel like it's too much. How do you know it's productive pressure, you know, that's really going to make you pull through and really get you focused, to that point where you're really, nailing it or winning or whatever, and when it's too much and it's really taking too much out of you?
Sure, a little bit of pressure is good for us. It's healthy for us. It gets us to do better. But one pressure I want to talk about here that maybe is not so obvious, it's that success comes with expectations from others, a pressure from others to be a certain way, to maintain or even suppress or exceed our previous achievements, right? So this can lead to chronic stress and anxiety, and especially in competitive environments. So many successful people feel this pressure to constantly deliver these exceptional results because in the past they did. They want to do better each and every time. So there's this constant pressure to do better than last time from themselves and from other people. That kind of pressure really could lead to burnout. So it's important to nip that one in the butt and be aware when that pressure is on you.
That's actually absolutely right, because the question that puts actors in a lot of pressure is when you see people, they like, okay, you just did family business last month and you did this and you did that. What's next?
What's
You like,
next?
I just got, I literally
Exactly.
just finished that. Like, I don't know.
Right.
Is that like the worst? Is that like the worst question? That like
Yes,
the irritating, annoying question, guys?
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
It's so funny. I was just thinking about that the other day, and I was, I'm thinking about doing something in merch, and I was thinking, be great, repeat. And it's like, it never ends.
Never ends.
It
Yeah.
That's
never,
good. Yeah.
it never ends. And, I was thinking about my younger self and how when I was younger, I would just go, go, go. And I used to suffer from terrible, migraines and weight loss and
Mm.
all these side effects from leading a team of journalists and culture critics and everything. And it was a whole lot on me. And, eventually you realize that it's not healthy. And when you're younger, you're more resilient, sometimes, not all the time, but it's truly not an age thing. But for me, it kind of was. It's sort of like being a bull in a china shop. And then you just realize it's not sustainable, it's not healthy, and
No.
I can't keep going through this cycle.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine what it's like when you're truly, truly famous, because then you have the weight of production houses and studios and directors and the
A whole
public
industry around you, basically, like a whole
Yes.
industry for that
Yeah.
particular star.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just actually want to add to that, to what Chuck just said. You do like, and what you just said as well, Lisa. You do have a whole industry, and in the industry, they say time is money. Like you're not afforded showing up to set like not knowing your lines. You have to be on it because there might be someone that's just not on it. The director might be having a day, maybe the writer's having a bad day, and they're like, you know what, I'm gonna change all of this. And so time is money, and you can't waste anyone's time. You can't waste anyone's money. So you really aren't afforded the opportunity to have it
Yeah,
that day.
and you know
Yeah.
what? One thing I wanted to say too, to add on to Chuck, what he was saying is, what taught me to kind of like mellow all of those things is my brother used to tell me, my older brother used to tell me, do you know who you like? You don't take a 5 minutes to just chill out. Do you know what you did? And he kept feeding me that and it allowed me to stay in the present. Even though no matter how much I was getting pulled all over the place.
We saw Simone Biles, a gymnast, when she quit left the Tokyo Olympics, and then took her time out, and then comes back even bigger, for Paris. But when she took her time out, she took a lot of criticism. What does it do to a person if you start to feel like your life is more, what you're doing is more valuable to other people than who you are?
I saw her in person during Paris in the Olympics, and she was absolutely amazing. And, she proved to everybody that it is okay to take some time off. It's okay to take your time for yourself, to drown out those voices that are telling you to do and do and do, and recognize when you need to say it's enough. The consequences of just continuing through with burnout is catastrophic. Depression, anxiety, suicide attempts, substance abuse. So, we don't want any of that to happen. So I think Simone Biles here, I'm really proud of her for taking the time she needs, and she proved to the world that you need to take the time for yourself.
I love Simone Biles, absolutely love her. We formed a little friendship on social media. She's so kind. And I'm always like, hey, if you need a break, like, we won't be mad at you. You just keep being you and keep being amazing. And I think she's such a great role model to learn from, especially to learn when to take a break. And that's one thing I will say that I'm grateful of how my mom raised me. Like, whenever, whether it was acting or like figure skating, playing instruments, singing, songwriting, whatever it was that I was doing at that moment, she was like, look, if you're tired, everyone's gonna know you're tired. She's like, if your heart's not in it, you're not in it, and people are gonna feel that, and they're gonna be receptive to it. And you don't want to give a bad performance because that follows you. It doesn't matter if you had 99 great performances. That one bad performance, everyone's gonna look at that. All the critics, everyone's gonna analyze that, and that's gonna follow you. So it's okay to take a break. So I think taking breaks and really prioritizing your mental health before everyone else's, it's so beneficial.
Dr. Safai, is there a point where you have to worry if you're in one of these you're having a successful career, and then all of a sudden you get to a point where it kind of like doesn't mean anything to you anymore, or at least you're going, or is that a mood? Is that burnout?
So let me explain something to you. This is human nature and it applies to everybody because our biology is the same. When we succeed at something, when we achieve a goal, it increases our substance in our brain called dopamine. It gives us a high. It makes us feel good. However, after we achieve that goal, you go back to your baseline level of happiness, but you know what it feels like to have that high. So you constantly desire and chase after that high again. However, the problem is that same stimulus is not going to give you the same effect anymore. You need bigger and bigger stimulates to give you that same high. So you fall into this pursuit of never-ending goals that sometimes can lead to chronic dissatisfaction. So it's important to stop yourself, be aware of this, and tell yourself it's healthy to want to achieve better and bigger goals, right? But make sure you are living life and pursuing other goals so your entire happiness won't be tied to that one stimuli.
Perfect example of what she's talking about is the casino. They literally made a whole business off of the sound. Ding-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding. So you put a quarter in, ding-ding-ding-ding, and it gives you this high, and you can keep putting the quarters in, and you want to keep going, and then you lose all your money.
Don't say social media is the same thing. That's why they added the like button and commenting. If you post the wrong picture, or you might get the wrong comment, and then it ruins your entire day. You might have 100 good comments, but you get one bad one, and then all of a sudden you're focused on that one thing.
It also creates like a snowball effect. Like, it could be really positive, and then people will see one negative comment, and then it's like, oh, you know what?
Yeah.
Actually, I agree with this. And then they get to typing, and it's just the snowball effect of negativity, and that can also impact one's mental health.
Chuck, you're open about like what you went through, when you were younger too. Is there an additional pressure on Black men because of a lot of times they're the first or have to be the first in whatever they're doing? And then also that thing of like, I have to be extra, if good is required, I have to be excellent because everyone's going to be looking at me and I'm going to be representing all Black men to whoever you're dealing with in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I still to this day feel a tremendous pressure as a Black man. I mean, when you're growing up, you don't see a lot of examples of people that you can claim role model to. And so then you become that role model, and carrying that weight is a lot. Growing up, I grew up looking at very superhero-like figures, perfect individuals, if you will, even the Black ones, and some of them were white. When you project yourself in that same vein, it's essentially projecting perfection. And then when you layer, personal crises on top of that, it becomes even harder to project that perfection and to manage and to veer through life that way, especially as a Black man. So I have really adopted a lot of different ways to manage that. I picked up running to the point where I ran a whole marathon. The other thing I did was I eventually went into counseling. I started getting, I got a counselor, and then I got another one, and then I, kept going until I felt better. And I think that that's helped me out in tremendous ways. And I really encourage most people to have someone, even if it's just for maintenance.
Dr. Safai, last word, what should people do just trying to stay focused and stay centered and stay calm within themselves?
So first of all, comparison is a theft of joy. We all know this. We're all aware of that. So just, just the social media thing, just guys, limit it. A few different advice I have also is know that it's okay to fail. Know that being successful it's a lot of times lonely. So find your community, focus on the process, not the end results, and celebrate the small wins. We're human. It's okay to fail. Remember that. And just remember, find your community. That is the most important thing.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers on the stress of success. You can watch it again on our Fox 5 NY YouTube page and on your phone on the free Fox 5 NY app. Remember, use your mind. It's your best weapon. I'm Lisa Evers.